Sometimes when Allah removes someone from your life, your first reaction is confusion, even pain. You ask yourself, why now, why them? What did I do wrong? But here's what we often forget. Allah operates with a wisdom far beyond what our limited minds can comprehend. What looks like loss to you might actually be protection. What feels like an ending could very well be the quiet beginning of a better chapter you cannot see yet. Think about it. How many times have you clung to something or someone, convinced that your life couldn't go on without them, only to realize months or even years later that their presence was holding you back at the moment you couldn't see it? You saw attachment, familiarity, maybe even love. But Allah, in His infinite knowledge, saw the harm, the distraction, the closed doors you couldn't yet imagine. And so He removed them not to punish you, not to break you, but to free you. We often interpret loss through the lens of our emotions, forgetting that Allah's plan is never random. The Quran reminds us that perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you, and perhaps you love something and it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. That verse is not meant to comfort you in theory. It is meant to anchor you in reality. When someone walks away, when a relationship ends, when a door closes abruptly, it is Allah saying, "This path is not meant for you, and I love you too much to let you destroy yourself chasing it." From a psychological perspective, our attachment to people and situations makes us fear change. We build our identity around the things we think we need. But faith teaches us detachment not from love or compassion, but from the illusion that anything other than Allah is permanent. This detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It allows you to see the people in your life as blessings, not anchors. It allows you to release without resentment and to move forward without bitterness. Sometimes the removal happens suddenly, almost brutally. One day they're there, the next they're gone, and in that vacuum you feel lost. But here's the truth. Sudden removals often protect you from gradual destruction. Allah doesn't just take away to test your patience, He takes away to preserve your dignity, to redirect your energy, and to prepare you for what's next. What you think you've lost overnight, you may one day look back on and realize was the very thing that saved you. This shift in perspective is where peace begins. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" start asking, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Instead of seeing absence, start seeing space. Space that Allah has cleared for something better to grow. And when you adopt this mindset, your grief doesn't disappear, but it transforms. It becomes lighter, purposeful, even hopeful. The next time someone leaves your life, resist the urge to chase them or to question your worth. Instead, take a step back and say, "Alhamdulillah, if Allah took this away, He will replace it with something better. Maybe not in the way I expect, but in the way I need." That mindset is not weakness, it's strength. It's a sign that you understand who truly holds your destiny. Because at the end of the day, nothing slips from your life without Allah allowing it, and nothing stays that isn't meant for you. Trust that divine wisdom, trust that divine timing, and trust that whatever is meant for you will never miss you, and whatever misses you was never meant for you. Letting go is not weakness, it is one of the purest expressions of faith. When Allah removes someone or something from your life, the natural impulse is to fight it, to hold on tighter, to question and plead and bargain. But true tawakkul, true trust in Allah, begins where your grip ends. It begins when you release what He has taken and choose to believe that His plan for you is far greater than your own. We live in a world that teaches us that strength means holding on, that persistence is proof of love or loyalty. And while there is beauty in commitment, there is also wisdom in knowing when to let go. Faith teaches us that surrendering is not the same as giving up. Surrendering is recognizing that you are human and Allah is divine, that your vision is limited but His wisdom is limitless. What you perceive as the end of a story might only be the middle, and the author of that story knows how it is meant to unfold. From a psychological perspective, letting go can feel like a loss of control. The human mind craves certainty. We want to know why something happened, how it could have been prevented, and what will happen next. But life with Allah demands a different kind of strength. The strength to live with the unknown, the patience to wait for clarity, and the humility to accept that clarity may never come in this world. That in itself is a test of faith. Think about the people in your life who have left, whether by choice, by circumstance, or by the decree of Allah. Each time you let someone go, you make space for growth, space for new blessings, space for a deeper connection with the one who never leaves you. Holding on to what Allah has removed keeps you chained to the past, while letting go allows you to step into the future He has written for you. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring, nor does it mean you erase memories or feelings. It means you stop fighting Allah's decree. It means you hand over the reins and say, "Ya Allah, I don't understand this, but I trust you. I trust that you see what I cannot see." And when you do that, a remarkable thing happens. The same situation that once felt like chaos begins to feel like calm. The same event that once broke you begins to build you. That is the quiet power of trust. It transforms pain into purpose. Sometimes you will let go and immediately you will see the wisdom behind it. Other times you may wait years before the picture becomes clear. And sometimes you may never fully understand why something or someone had to be removed. But faith is not about understanding every detail. Faith is about believing that Allah makes no mistakes, that every removal is a redirection, and that every redirection leads to something better, if not in this life, then in the next. If you find yourself struggling to let go, remind yourself of this simple truth. Nothing that is truly meant for you will ever require you to beg, to compromise your dignity, or to sacrifice your peace. If Allah takes it away, it was never truly yours to keep. And if you can surrender to that reality, your heart will find a freedom that no worldly attachment can offer. So, let go not out of weakness but out of strength. Let go because you trust the one who loves you more than you love yourself. Let go because the one who wrote your story knows exactly where it is headed. And let go because what Allah has planned for you will always be better than what you thought you lost. Every removal in your life is not just an ending, it is a redirection. We don't always see it in the moment, but what Allah takes away, He often replaces with something far better. Something that aligns more closely with the person you are becoming and the path you are meant to walk. But here's the challenge. When we are in the middle of that loss, it doesn't feel like a blessing. It feels like abandonment. It feels unfair, and yet, time and time again, when you look back, you realize that what you thought was rejection was actually divine redirection. Think about the times you desperately wanted something, a relationship, a job, a friendship, an opportunity, and it slipped through your fingers despite all your efforts. You may have cried over it, prayed for it, questioned why it didn't work out. And now, looking back, you see clearly. If that door had opened, it would have led to a room that wasn't built for you, or worse. It would have kept you trapped in a space far smaller than the one Allah intended for you. This is the nature of divine wisdom. Allah doesn't just take away to leave you empty. He clears the path for what is meant to come, often in ways you cannot yet understand. The Prophet RFD reminded us that nothing decreed for a believer is ever truly bad, because even the painful things are ultimately for your growth. When something is removed, it's not just about losing that thing. It's about making space for something better, even if the better takes time to arrive. From a psychological perspective, our brains are wired to resist loss. We hold on to what's familiar, even when it's harmful, because familiarity feels safe. Letting go forces us into uncertainty, and uncertainty feels terrifying. But faith invites us to see that uncertainty not as a threat, but as a transition. What feels like freefall is often just Allah moving you from one chapter to the next, preparing you for opportunities, relationships, or spiritual growth that you could never have reached if you had stayed where you were. And often, the redirection is not just external, it's internal. Sometimes Allah removes people not to change your surroundings, but to change you. To make you stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more dependent on Him. You may not notice it at first, but that very loss that broke you is often the catalyst for a version of you that is more resilient, more grounded, and more aware of your true purpose. So the next time you find yourself grieving what you've lost, pause for a moment and shift your perspective. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" try asking, "Where is Allah leading me through this?" That single change in mindset turns your pain into possibility. It reminds you that you are not being punished, you are being redirected. And when the new doors begin to open, you will see that the loss was not random. It was intentional, it was mercy in disguise. This is why trust is so powerful. When you trust Allah's plan, you stop clinging to closed doors and start walking toward open ones. You begin to understand that what leaves you was never yours, and what is meant for you will always find its way to you. And that understanding transforms your grief into gratitude, your fear into faith, and your waiting into worship. So when Allah removes something or someone from your life, don't fight the redirection, lean into it. Trust it, because every loss in this world carries within it the seed of something greater, and Allah never takes without intending to give you more. Sometimes what feels like rejection is simply Allah saying, "I have something better for you. Just wait." When someone leaves your life, one of the greatest dangers is allowing that loss to harden your heart. It's easy to let pain turn into anger, to let disappointment grow into resentment, or to let unanswered questions feed bitterness. But here's the reality: holding on to that poison doesn't hurt the person who left it, hurts you. It weighs you down, clouds your judgment, and robs you of the peace that Allah wants for you. When Allah removes someone, it is not an invitation to hate them or to curse the situation. It is an opportunity to cleanse your heart. Forgiveness in this sense is not about approving of what happened or forgetting the hurt. It's about choosing freedom over chains. You don't forgive because the other person deserves it. You forgive because your soul deserves peace. From a psychological perspective, bitterness is one of the heaviest emotional burdens a human being can carry. It keeps your nervous system in a state of tension, it fuels overthinking, and it blinds you to the blessings that are still present in your life. Spiritually, it blocks you from seeing the wisdom in Allah's plan. You start focusing so much on what you lost that you become blind to what is still there and what is on its way. Releasing that bitterness does not mean denying your feelings. It's perfectly natural to feel hurt, sad, or even betrayed. Islam never asks you to suppress your emotions, but it does teach you to process them in a way that keeps your heart clean. The Prophet said that the strong person is not the one who can overpower others in physical strength, but the one who controls themselves in the heat of anger. That strength is what will keep you grounded when loss tempts you to become bitter. One of the most powerful tools for protecting your heart is dua. When someone leaves your life, instead of cursing them or replaying old memories with pain, pray for them. Ask Allah to guide them, to bless them, and to grant you the strength to move forward. This may feel unnatural at first, especially if the wound is fresh, but there is something profoundly healing about praying for someone who hurt you. It shifts the energy from anger to compassion, and that shift frees you. Another way to protect your heart is to remind yourself that every person in your life is a guest, and every guest eventually leaves. When you understand relationships through this lens, you stop clinging and start appreciating. You learn to cherish people while they are with you, and you learn to release them with grace when their time in your story is done. Bitterness also blinds you to growth. Some of the greatest lessons in your life will come from the people who walked away. The pain they caused may be the very thing that pushes you closer to Allah, that teaches you resilience, or that helps you discover your own strength. If you let bitterness linger, you miss the opportunity to grow from that experience. So, when someone leaves and you feel that sting of betrayal or loss, take a deep breath and remind yourself, Allah saw what you couldn't see. He knows what you don't know, and He wants your heart to stay soft, because a soft heart is a heart that can still receive His blessings. At the end of the day, letting go of bitterness is not about them. It's about you and your connection with Allah. When you release the anger, when you choose forgiveness, you create space for peace, for healing, and for the new blessings that are making their way to you. Don't let the poison of bitterness steal your future. Free your heart, forgive for the sake of Allah, and move forward with the quiet strength that comes from knowing He always replaces what He removes with something far better. When someone leaves your life, what often remains is an emptiness, a quiet space where their presence used to be. And here's the truth, that space doesn't have to be a void. It can become the soil for growth, the place where you rebuild yourself and strengthen your connection with the one who never leaves, Allah. What you choose to do with that emptiness will determine whether you remain stuck in pain or rise towards something greater. Loss, in any form, is an invitation. It invites you to pause, to reflect, to ask deeper questions about who you are and where you are heading. Many people rush to fill the void with distractions, with noise, with people who don't belong, just to avoid feeling alone. But solitude, when embraced, can be one of the most powerful seasons of your life. It's in those quiet moments that you truly hear yourself, and more importantly, you hear the whispers of guidance from your Creator. This is where remembrance hikr becomes essential. Instead of replaying the past over and over, replace those thoughts with words that nourish your heart. Subhan Allah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illa Allah, Allahu Akbar. Every moment of hikr is a reminder that while people may come and go, Allah is constant. His presence does not waver, His mercy does not diminish, and His care for you never pauses. Alongside spiritual reflection, loss should drive you toward personal growth. Use this season to invest in yourself, not out of pride, but out of gratitude for the life Allah has entrusted to you. Read more, learn new skills, work on your health, deepen your understanding of the Deen, and build habits that make you stronger mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The more you build yourself, the more you realize that your worth was never dependent on who stayed or who left. It was always rooted in your relationship with Allah. And here's something important to understand. Growth doesn't mean erasing your pain. It means transforming it. You don't have to pretend you're fine. You just need to channel that hurt into something meaningful. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's teaching others what you've learned through your experience. Maybe it's simply becoming a more compassionate version of yourself. Pain can either make you bitter or it can make you better. The choice is yours. From a psychological perspective, healing requires action. Sitting in your pain without direction will keep you in cycles of despair. But the moment you shift your focus toward building, learning, worshipping, you begin to reclaim your sense of purpose. That purpose is what carries you forward, even when the ache of loss lingers. And remember, strengthening your connection with Allah doesn't only happen in prayer, it happens in every choice you make. It happens when you choose patience over panic, when you respond with kindness even when you're hurting, when you decide to trust Allah's plan even when you don't understand it. Those small, consistent acts build a faith that's unshakable. So, instead of letting the absence consume you, let it transform you. Let it push you closer to Allah, let it make you wiser, let it refine your character. You may not be able to control who leaves your life, but you can always control how you respond to that loss. And in that response, you have the chance to either remain broken or to rise stronger than before. Because at the end of the day, every loss creates a space, and it's up to you what you fill it with. Fill it with remembrance, with growth, with purpose. Fill it with a version of yourself that is more connected to Allah than you have ever been. And when you do, you'll look back one day and realize that what you thought was an ending was actually the beginning of your greatest transformation. One of the most beautiful truths we often forget is that Allah can change your story overnight. What feels impossible to you today can become your reality tomorrow. The pain that weighs you down, the uncertainty that keeps you up at night, the situation you think you'll never escape, all of it can be turned around in a single moment by the one who says *B. And it is *. That is the power of Allah's plan. It doesn't follow your timetable, but it is always perfectly timed. When someone is removed from your life, it often feels final, as if the loss will define you forever. But nothing with Allah is ever final. He is the turner of hearts, the opener of doors, the provider of ways out when you see none. And sometimes the very thing you think is the end of your story is simply the start of a new chapter, one written with more wisdom, more blessings, and more growth than you could have imagined. This is why patience is so deeply tied to faith. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about waiting with trust. It's about standing firm in your belief that the delay is not denial, that Allah's timing is better than yours, and that when the moment is right, everything will align, effortlessly, beautifully, perfectly. From a psychological perspective, uncertainty is one of the hardest states for the human mind to sit with. We crave control, we want answers, and when life feels unstable, we grasp for anything that promises security. But faith invites us to lean into that uncertainty with calm, to accept that while we do not know, Allah does. That acceptance frees you from anxiety and allows you to live in the present, confident that your future is already written with care. There are countless examples of this in our own lives if we take a moment to reflect. Think about a time when you thought you had hit rock bottom, only to find that months later, life had shifted in ways you never imagined. The pain you thought would break you ended up building you. The door that closed so abruptly led you to a better opportunity, a healthier relationship, or a deeper connection with your Creator. That is not coincidence. That is divine orchestration. And here's something important to remember. Allah's overnight changes are not just about external circumstances. Sometimes the greatest overnight shift happens within you. The moment your heart finds peace after months of turmoil, the instant you feel hope where there was only despair, the sudden clarity after confusion, those are also signs of Allah's mercy. He changes hearts just as easily as He changes situations. So when you are in the thick of your struggle, don't measure your future by what you see in the moment. Your vision is limited, His is infinite. Keep making dua, keep trusting, keep moving forward. Because just as easily as he removed what was not meant for you, he can replace it with what is destined for you, and when it arrives it will feel as if it was always meant to be. That is the power of overnight change. It reminds you that no situation is hopeless, no heart is too broken to heal, and no path is too blocked to clear. What feels delayed is simply being prepared, and when it comes, you'll understand why it took the time it did. So hold on, be patient, keep your faith alive. Because when Allah decides it's time, what once felt impossible will become your reality in the blink of an eye, and you'll realize that every moment of waiting was worth it.